Oh, hello there. This is Brent Weeks. I'm the author of Lightbringer and Night Angel, and I am signing tip-ins. Go ahead and take the camera around now. For the autographed pages, the pre-order books that you can get very soon. I've been experimenting. I have lots of fun fountain pens. I've been figuring out what works best. So I've been about 10% of these, which we'll make sure we got the camera in the right place. But yeah, this glove, it's not just for good luck or style points. It's to keep oils from my hands from messing up the signatures. So about 10% of the signatures will be done in this thing. It's called Writer's Blood. Melanie, can you show that off? I'll let you see that. Sorry, caps lock. I told your name.
Oh no.
The mask slips. So I've been working on my signature. Hope that looks nice and special. You see that's the cool little Night Angel emblem there. I'll be jumping to your questions in just a second. I just want to tell you a couple more things about this. You guys can get these. The pre-orders are available right now through Barnes and Noble. They're also at Books A Million, and we'll get those links up in the description. They'll also be at Bookish, which is a smaller retailer soon. If you don't like going with the big nationals, and if you are, we will be working with somebody in the UK. We're not quite ready to announce that yet, but a local UK, so you won't have to ship. If you want to get a pristine copy of your book, so you want to make sure none of the corners are bent, whatever, or if you want it to be personalized, we'll also be working with a signed page again. They also ship internationally. Be aware right now the international postage rates are kind of murder, and it's a big heavy book, so it's not going to be cheap to ship it. But he doesn't gouge on the shipping. It just is what it is. So those are various places that you can get it through. I'm not going to let you choose which ink color you get, but about 10% of them will be in that Writer's Blood ink. I've been trying to keep the count going, and a lot of them will be in this other this Robert Oster ink that looks really nice. It's called Black and Blue, and we'll see if we can show you how it does this little subtle sheening effect, which maybe the camera will pick up there. So some of those have a little more sheen than others. It just depends on how much mica is in the nib at the time that they sign it. Other things you may see, that's good enough. I use some Konpeki from Iroshizuku, a pilot ink. Use Monteverde's California Teal, that's pretty rare. I use some Kyanite Blue, which is a striking bright blue with some sheen. Some Diamine Jack Frost. My old favorite, Emerald du Chivor. Robert Oster Envy, and Robert Oster Crystal Marine. Those are very many fewer of those. And then only one out there will get this bonkers ink, which here I gotta shake this up for a second so you guys can see this. Here, can you see if you can show that off to the camera? It's this gold. What's it called, hun?
Edelstein.
It's Edelstein. What's the
Golden Barrel.
Golden Barrel. So that's a weird one, and I just put that on just one of the signed pages. We'll have that. So anyway, that's my newest little project. I've been spending many hours. All these have been signed already. It's incredibly tedious to sign your name for hours every day. So I'm doing this because I love you guys. Okay. That's enough out of me, and all that's enough marketing speak, right? Am I centered enough? Can you guys see me? Are we good? We're good? Great. So this is the Q&R. This is February Q&R. I'm gonna keep it to 30 minutes, which I am really bad at. And caps lock, I need that. Oh, you put my clock right there, so I can totally see it. I'm gonna stay on time. So I'm ready to take your questions. If you have any questions. And my wonderful second assistant will be reading those out. So maybe my second assistant. I just call my wife my second assistant. I was going for some reaction from her, but none. She knows me too well. So
are there any from the
do we don't have any questions?
check Messenger.
This is gonna be the briefest Q&R ever. So, I guess you know what I can talk about though? I can talk about my pens because I'm really excited about these, and you guys have to tell my wife that this was totally worth it. That these are super cool because I spent a lot of money on this, and I said I needed it for business. So I'm signing. I'm signing with. You're not gonna be able to see it. I'll post this on Instagram, but I'm signing some of them with this little guy, this actually huge monster, and then I have another one with a slightly different nib. These are handy because you need a big nib when you're signing book paper. Actually, this paper orbit was really good to me. Usually, book paper it's highly recycled, which is very ethical and responsible, but it means the paper is usually it's got lots of big chunks. It's big chunks of recycled wood pulp, and so you need it just wicks up the ink that you try to sign it with. So any of the sheen and shimmer that I tried to put on previous books kind of just disappears, and it just looks green instead of green with gold shimmer and red sheen highlights. So that's sort of made me sad. So I asked Orbit if I could have really good paper, and even though there's this huge printing crunch, it's impossible to get supplies anywhere, they came through for me. So this paper actually is the best paper I've ever signed on, and will show some of this sheen and shimmer. Not as much as like Tomoe River, if you guys are really into fountain pens, as I'm sure one or two of you are, but quite a lot for books. We did have a question come in, so I can stop stalling. Yeah.
Okay. So this is from Tim Harris.
Oh, hey Tim.
On the topic of Deus Ex Machina, what's the decision-making process like when you have something in the book that you think that some fans will love and enjoy, but others might dislike it and find it takes them out of the book?
Oh, so that's a great question, Tim. I think this is part of why you've seen other writers really struggle with late books in a series. A story is kind of a series of promises, isn't it? It's like when you set up. If you were George R. R. Martin and you finished the book series and you made it just really happy-go-lucky, nobody died in the next 2 books. I think he's supposed to have two books to finish his series, and just everybody was happy at the end, and there was a new king or queen, and everybody was like, oh, that's the perfect person, that's so great, and it wouldn't fit. It wouldn't fit the promises that he's kind of made. It wouldn't fit the tone of the world. So anything that I think where you're doing an ongoing series, like people have fan theories, right? Like that's part of what's really fun about epic fantasy is the fan theories, and especially as they go on and people try to piece together all the little foreshadowing. And as we make up our own theories, we kind of get attached to those because, well, it's our theory and we all like to be right. And readers like to know that they are good readers. So they like to have their mastery lauded. At the same time, we like, or sort of like, we like to be surprised. We like it when something happens, or we're like, wait, that felt pretty iffy. I didn't know it would go this bad. So we like it when we're surprised in just the right way. If we've gotten really cerebrally attached to a story, obviously other kinds of stories we don't get. We're happy to be surprised at the end of The Sixth Sense. Etc. So when it's really well done, a surprise can be very, very satisfying as well. But that's very hard to do, and it's very, very hard to do when you're talking about a multi-book series and people have a lot of time to think. Twist endings tend to work really well on movies because you're kind of watching and something else happens and you pick up on something that's foreshadowing, like that seemed weird that he said that, but then something else is happening and the people are running and you're invested in it. You don't really have time to stop and think. Like if you watched any twist movie and you watched half of it or you watched 3/4 of it and you walked away and you came back 2 days later and had a little bit of time to think about it, you would probably figure out the twist, at least if you've watched a lot of movies and you know how it works. In books, you always have that time where you're walking away. So we always have time to figure out what ending we think is going to come. And we kind of like it when the ending comes that we were expecting, or I kind of had a pretty strong feeling that was going to come. So that's always a little bit of a disappointment when it isn't that, and it's a little bit of a disappointment when it is that. So endings frequently are kind of disappointing, regardless of how they come out. If you have an ending where too many people die for your personal taste, or too few people die for your personal taste, so or then you're going to be upset. By the same token, if you have a book that seems to betray its premise, if in George R. Martin's Song of Ice and Fire, you suddenly had this happy-go-lucky ending, then that would completely betray the premise, the tone of the world. The promises that he's set up is that this is a bitter world, everybody's Machiavellian, this is realpolitik, the good guys die. If in the last two books none of that happened, you would feel betrayed. And that would be correct. That would be okay to do, because an author sets up certain premises by which he's telling a story, how the world works. So when I'm writing a story, I do love to surprise. I think anybody who's watching this knows that I like to surprise you. I also like to treat you as if you're smart readers, as if you've seen all the traditional endings before, that you've been there, done that. And I like to treat you as if you're intelligent and perceptive, and as if you have thought about the book. So, that said, I do run into situations where I'm like, okay, is this going to make readers mad? And it's like, yeah, it is. And then that's not my primary concern, though. My primary concern is this true to the characters, who they are? Is this how they would act? Is this true to the world that I've constructed? Is this is this right? Does this fit together in a way that's consistent? Hopefully it pays off. I hope it's emotionally satisfying, but I know for some readers it won't be, and that's just like, hey, take your lumps. I mean, some readers aren't going to like it, even if it's perfect. I mean, there's probably people who watched Die Hard and thought, man, that movie was really good until the ending, and then it just didn't work. I mean, I don't know who those would be, but you could say, oh, it went over the top and like absolutely everything came back. I like a slightly looser ending, and Die Hard was basically the perfectly written short action script in technical terms. So people could be frustrated by that. So what I guess that's a long answer to say. I think about it a lot, but mostly I try to do what's right for the readers. I try to do what's right for the characters, what's right for the story that I've built. I remember I knew some people would be surprised at the ending, the claimed Deus Ex Machina, which I of course played with. I played with that notion, and also with Tolkien's notion of the eucatastrophe, which I'm not going to go into right now. With the end of the Lightbringer series, but I sort of felt like, if you'd read the end of book 3 and you didn't, with the very long canon shot, and you didn't sort of foresee the ending of the whole series, like, you weren't reading very carefully. So I felt like the ending, the eucatastrophe at the ending, was good storytelling. I felt like it was sophisticated storytelling, and I thought, yes, certainly, there's going to be people who missed the foreshadowing that I did. There's people who just don't like that kind of ending. They don't want the world to be that way, and so they reject it in fantasy as well as they reject it in real life. And that's fine. That's like, not all stories work for all readers, and even epic fantasy readers are going to reject certain epic fantasies that they read. So, do we have other questions queued up?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So, will there ever be a Night Angel show?
Yes, I'm executive producing a show myself. I'm financing it with the $100 million I found in my backyard. So that's a question that's not entirely in my hands. So when you're a writer, unless you've sold like $1 billion worth of books, aka your J.K. Rowling or that level of writer, you do not have any control. Like, the first thing they have to to get the project rolling is they need this writer to sign on the dotted line. And you have to sign a very form script or a form legal document, contract that sort of says, we can go do what we need to do to make a movie out of this or a show out of this. And once you sign it, the person that you sign it with, they're going to go try to make something out of it. And then if they can't, they're going to be like, you know what, I give this guy thousands of dollars, maybe tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes if you're huge, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I want to make that money back. I want to make some of that money back. So then they're going to try to sell it to somebody else. They're going to be like, I couldn't put together a show with this. They're going to give it to somebody else. So then whatever promises the first person made to you evaporate. So they're just gone. So before I sign on the dotted line, I have to be aware of that fact that I might make a deal with somebody who absolutely wants to make something that's super faithful, something that's super great. But if, at the end of the day, if they can't make something out of it and we have a contract, they're going to sell the rights to make it to somebody else if they can to make their money back. And that person may have no concern for anything except, making it be a YA-friendly, PG-13, let's make the actors all be, younger or older or whatever. Let's make this a vehicle for whoever our young star is and just have them have all the lines, whatever they want to do with it that they think will make them money. So I'm really, really careful. I've basically said no to everyone who's come to me up to this point. I had early on, I signed over the rights for a period of time. Like I wasn't able to get anything done with it. I worked with somebody else. We weren't able to get anything done with it together. Now it's reverted to me, and I've just been like, I'm going to sit on this for a long time until somebody comes along who I would really trust to give it a really good chance of not getting screwed up. And that's, I'm content to be patient. So I'm sorry that might take a while. With Lord of the Rings, Tolkien signed over the movie rights in 1969, and it took 30 years for them to make a movie that was decent, 32 years, something like that, for them to make a decent movie out of that. So these things take time.
What's your inspiration for the Kakari?
Oh, man. Okay. Well, so trivially, my inspiration was, I thought in Terminator 2, the liquid metal looked really cool. And so that's sort of like, I really like the idea of liquid metal. And then I sort of started layering ideas onto that. So just the possibilities that you could have with something that's liquid metal. I liked the idea of there being numerous of these. I liked the idea of them being scattered and the people who had them being smart about keeping them secret. You had something that gave you wonderful powers, and you also had a group of magical people who control most of the magic in the world, like the Chantry. Like, it would behoove you to keep it quiet that you have it until there's a war or something, and then that there would be people very quietly trying to go around and scoop those up. That made a ton of sense to me. So I sort of layered on some ideas on that. I have lots more ideas that I'm not going to tell you about right now, that I hope I'll unfold in the books. But I wanted something that was magical and interesting, and I sort of like the idea of metal that can liquefy and take different shapes, which kind of works really well with that whole assassin-y vibe of like people who can change shapes, who can change their guise, who can get into places you don't expect. So that sort of fit thematically, I thought. Next question.
Well, I'm gonna riff a little bit.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh, please do.
Does the Kakari appear in Night Angel Nemesis?
Does the Kakari appear in Night Angel Nemesis? Yes, it does. Yes, the Kakari appears in Night Angel Nemesis. So, do we have the? I've got it up there, but I don't think it has the blurb. I was thinking maybe I should read the back cover copy, because I don't think I've actually done that. Even though you guys can find that on, you can find that on any of the websites that we have. So. Yes, the Kakari appears, and as I think I've told you guys, this book is from Kyler's point of view. It picks up sometime after the events of the Night Angel trilogy, actually about 6 months later, and It is a first-person present tense narrative, which I did because I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to try something new and different. It gave me. Does it have a blurb in there? No, I said yeah, it's fine. So I and I thought it would. I thought by doing a first-person present tense point of view, I would constrain the book, and so that I could keep it nice and short, and that didn't work. So dang it! And keep it a little simpler, and that didn't work either. So that's how that's being told. And Kyler will be interacting with the Kakari. Yes, so it's a lot of fun. Next question here.
I saw somebody ask about the Society of the Second Dawn, and if that has any prevalence in the books moving forward.
That seems like the kind of thing that I might have set up in advance so that I could maybe pick up that plot thread as we go forward. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
Tune in later.
Yeah. Read and find out. Isn't that frustrating? Read and find out. You know, like the whole reason I'm here is to tease my next book. I mean, not the whole reason, but part of the reason, you know, I'm here is to get you guys to buy the next book, and then I won't tell you anything about it. That's lame. So I'll tell you things, but I just don't want to ruin the surprises. Is really where I'll stop. So okay, other questions. We got 6 minutes left. I really am going to stop on time this time.
Looking.
Man, my assistants, they're just falling down on the job here.
Having us do too many things
I know,
at one time.
I'm doing too many things at once. So.
Dragon tattoo. Logan's dragon arm tattoo.
Oh, well, yeah.
Are you coming back to any of that?
Am I? That also sounds like something I might have put in there to talk about at some future point. It's like I don't want to give no information. I don't want to give wrong information. So let's try this out. I wouldn't usually do this, but I'll tell you, Logan still has that tattoo. It does not play a huge part in this book. So I don't usually like to tell you things about the next book, but I don't want the tattoo is going to be a huge part of the next thing. It's like, did I put that in on purpose? Yes. Is it still there for me to use? Yes. Might that come up if Logan is still alive at the end of this book? Yes. But I also put in some red herrings and things that I don't come back to, on the next book. Absolutely. If you guys read Lightbringer, you realize I'm a patient storyteller. There's time. There are times where I plant something and you don't know why for numerous books, and it's not because I forgot it. It's because I'm waiting for the right time to bring it out. So yes, I have some hooks that are there on purpose, and no, I'm not going to revisit them right away. And Logan's tattoo is one of those. So I hope he lives through this book in order to be able to delve into that further, because that'd be really frustrating. Plot dead end, red herring, I guess, at that point. Yes. Maybe last question. I don't know. Let's see how long I go on. I'll go with it. So.
Will there be a graphic audio version of the new book?
There will be. I don't think I've signed a deal with them yet, though. So that's we need to talk to those guys because they need to get to work on that. So yeah. And if you're watching from other countries or looking for it in other languages, those generally take 6 months to a year to come out. After the first English language edition, there are definitely going to be some challenges for some of the translation stuff that I thought about while I was writing the book. But it's just like, man, I got to write it so it's the best I can possibly make it in English, and I'm gonna exploit some cool things that the English language does, and then hopefully the translators are really good and enjoy what they're doing because here you go, guys. Here's a bundle of problems. Actually, just a couple days ago, 2 days ago, I spoke with Simon Vance for like an hour and a half. We were talking about he's re-recording. I think he's done. He has re-recorded the Night Angel trilogy. I just got that done, and I think those have come out, or the first 2 have come out, and the next one's coming out. Anyway, those are coming out monthly, but those are all done. And now he's currently, for the next 3 weeks, he's recording Night Angel's Nemesis. So we were talking about some of the interesting story things I do, and how he might help act that out. And as you know, Simon does just amazing work with the audio. Hall of Fame narrator, and rightly so. He's a consummate professional. It's really fun to talk to him. It's like one of the most fun things I get to do it as a writer is I get to interact with people who are incredibly brilliant in their own fields that overlap a little bit. And it's like, oh my gosh, you're so good. I don't know how you do what you do. I get to sort of be a fanboy. But then we get to work, and it's like, okay, how can I do this? How should this be said? And so we go through all the pronunciations. So he has all the pronunciations, of course, correct. And then he brings his own. He also brings his own, artistic interpretation to the work that I put in front of him. So he adds his special Simon Vance flavor to that. So I can't wait for you guys to hear that, because it's going to be great. Is there one last question, or are we done? It feels so short, and we only talked for half an hour. It's like turning in a book that's only 125,000 words. I didn't know I could do it. Well, I can't do it with books.
So here's and you can ignore me if you don't want to answer this, but thinking of promotional type things. So you've mentioned Logan as making an appearance in Night Angel Nemesis, and obviously Kyler, because it's the Kyler Chronicles and all of that.
You would think, yeah.
Would you like to share one more main character that shows up in this book that maybe you haven't really talked yet?
Man, okay, so I'll just try this out, see if I'm just screwing up my entire career.
Maybe we could monthly let
them
unveil
know about one. Well, then it can't be a new one. It has to be it has to be an older character.
Yes.
So, see, that's too minor. Although, okay, well, I'll just tell you. So yes, Viridiana is in this book. So Vi, as we decided to go with Vi. So.
I didn't.
So
my vote doesn't.
Well, I was talking over to Simon Vance, and he's like, so which way do you want to do this? When I first wrote these books, and okay, see, I'm at 12:30. I was like, you know what? You guys, do it however you want. You're reading the book. It's in your head. You can pronounce it Vi or V or I don't know, if you come up with some alternate way to do it. Good for you. You think VI is Vo. Awesome. It's we're telling this story together. And so I had no position. And then they did the audiobook, and they actually did the first audiobook without telling me. I didn't even know it was coming out until they're like, oh yeah, it's done. And I was like, how does the guy know how to pronounce anything? Anyway, that was a whole different thing. And then I realized people want to know how the author imagined it, even though it's a cooperative endeavor. So when these audiobooks were coming out, Simon Vance said, well, which way are we doing it? And I've actually done it both ways for forever, which is really annoying, because then I had to commit. So I committed to Vi, because it kind of has because people do Violet, they go call him Vi, or we knew some other people who with the VI had gone with Vi, and that sort of changes the vowel. And then I also like that Vi means to vie with somebody would mean to fight. So I sort of like that suggestion there. So we went with that, but then I still call her V a bunch of times. So you'll just have to forgive me for my inconsistency. And what? Simon's watching right now. Did I say anything naughty about Simon? I hope not. No. Oh man. Oh good. Of course I didn't. So Simon, I said we talked for an hour and a half. Mostly we talked about fountain pens, and a little bit we talked about this because Simon also uses fountain pens, except his handwriting is beautiful. It's very frustrating. He sent me a little note, and I was like, unbelievable. The man, could he stop being so talented? It's really irritating. Dang it, Simon. Okay, so that is half an hour. That's more than half an hour, because you always get more than you bargained for when you sign on with Brent Weeks. Thanks so much. We'll have some links in the comments, or it should already be there if you want to buy a signed edition. And that's it for this month. We will see you next month. Oh wait, one last thing. I am still doing. I haven't rolled it out yet, but I am doing the small group chats with the author. I did one this past month, and so look for those. Even though they'll basically be impossible to get in you just happen to log into Facebook at exactly the right time because they are small. But the first one went pretty well. I think I didn't make a ass of myself, but I could be wrong. So that's why we don't record it. So anyway, thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great afternoon.